Hi, everyone. I'm Frank Malakote. I'm an anchor with KTVU Fox 2 here in the San Francisco Bay Area. My guest is the owner of a Berkeley-based catering company. Once based in New York, it's been flourishing now for nearly 20 years here in the Bay Area, and it's gone through a number of changes, all because of the coronavirus. Like to say hi to their owner and a good friend of mine, Mr. Hugh Groman. Hugh, how are you?
I'm good today, thanks. I'm really happy to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. For those that don't know, Hugh's in our studio quite a bit, cooking, 4th of July, Mother's Day, all those sorts of things. So it's good to see your face. Well, before we dive into the COVID-19 stuff, just tell us, Hugh, how you got started in the food industry and what you really do.
Well, I was a cook since I was 6 years old. I just loved to cook. And I attempted to sort of not go down that path because I worked in the restaurant business growing up and I saw how difficult it was. But it became clear that that was really the thing I loved the most, food, hospitality, et cetera. So after college, I tried cooking professionally, and that was when I worked at Gramercy Tavern in New York. And I remember feeling, okay, this is it for me. You know, I looked around and I thought, nobody seems happy. So how am I going to be happy? But I still felt like I was in my line of business.
Yeah. And that kind of turned into a catering business in New York. You're from the Bay Area. You eventually brought it home, right?
Yes. I was in New York post-college for about 8 more years. And then I just, I had a big life change. I had a catering business in New York. I had a cafe. And I was in a relationship, and that when that relationship melted, it was like a little light bulb went off. I said, I'm getting out of here. I'm going back to California.
Time to come home.
Yeah.
Well, that was what, 18, 19 years ago. You've been going great guns ever since. And then all of a sudden, COVID-19 hits here in March and April. Tell us what happened at the beginning of all that for you and your company, and how you've made some pretty remarkable changes.
Wow. It's amazing to think back 4 months. A lot has happened. I happened to be at a catering convention in Las Vegas from March 8th through March 12th. And the whole time, everybody showed up and they were kind of like, oh, gee, what's this going to be? What's going to happen? And by the end of the week, we were just like miserable. Everyone was just, it was, of course, the only thing we were talking about. And people from around the country were facing up to the reality that things were going to change significantly. And the whole week I was fielding phone calls while at the convention from my team back at home. Okay, these people are canceling. What should we do with them? What should we do with them? What should we do with them? What are we going to do with the deposits? Just a lot of quick decision-making. And then we've had to, right away, I just, I'm a quick decision maker. So right away I thought, all right, we need to do something different, like right now. So we started this new company called Greenleaf Provisions. We launched a new updated website within like 3 days. My team was miserable because I was kind of like, okay, now this. But and then we've been evolving it for the last 4 months.
So do you still cater? I mean, do weddings? Do you still do weddings and parties? Is that still out there? Or
we do. It's absolutely happening. The Greenleaf Provisions division is designed to be a real business, something that will continue on in the future, regardless of, coronavirus. But we've continued to cater in all kinds of little ways. We've done a graduation party. We did a wedding. We've done a lot of little birthday celebrations and other kinds of graduation celebrations, but very smaller things in people's backyards for the most part. So we have all kinds of ways of catering still where everyone feels safe. The staff is treated respectfully. The staff is safe. They're not being put into uncomfortable positions. So we're absolutely continuing with the catering. And then we also are focusing a lot of attention on getting the word out about the Greenleaf Provisions division, because it's a really great service for people, even if, again, despite coronavirus, busy families in the Bay Area who have, 2 incomes and they're just trying to get through the day. They need help with having food prepared or delivered. So we think it's a real viable business. It's not just a stopgap.
Well, tell us about it. How's it work?
what's great about it is we do freshly prepared food. So in that respect, we might be competing with a restaurant, but we also have these great frozen meals, quarts of frozen soup, delicious beef stew, chicken stew, turkey meatloaf, classic mac and cheese, some kid-friendly things. We also have like the Phil Sliders catering that also you can order. So people are getting a little bit of everything. And then we also have groceries. And it's not like an Instacart where you're going to the grocery store and shopping for people. We have our own groceries. So we've got gallons of milk and orange juice and fresh fruit and vegetables and frozen meat and cheese, and it just goes on and on. We've got a long list of groceries. And then we also, because we have a liquor license, we're selling wine and beer and hard alcohol as well. So you can just kind of take care of everything in one order.
Right. And has it taken off a little bit?
It's been great. I mean, at first people were like gung-ho and they really, there was a huge rush. And now it's more of like, okay, after the initial chaos, and then restaurants have opened, so we have a more competition. But we are doing everything we can to kind of spread the word because we've got a lot of repeat customers. So we just need more people to know about it. So, we're doing things like Father's Day meals, Mother's Day meals, July 4th. And when we do like or Friday night fish dinners, when we have a special prefix kind of a celebration menu, we promote that, and that tends to bring in a lot of business. So we're kind of, like I said, I have a startup now. That's how I'm thinking of it, as a way of reframing it in a more positive way. It's, even though, my catering business is, the volume, I mean, we were a huge business. Our volume is down 80%, but no one ever promised that it was always going to be easy, so it's time to learn and create and innovate.
How glued to the tube are you when the governor speaks, phase 1, phase 2, and especially when it affects restaurants and the food industry? You must be going, oh, great. And people are dining inside. We're getting out more. And then, boom, they pull back restrictions. It's got to break your heart. Yeah. Well,
it breaks my heart for some of my friends who have restaurants. This last few days, that was not cool. That was really, really not cool. I don't know exactly how that all went down, but from the point of view of people who own a restaurant, with everything they've been through, to have that happen, that was hard. I certainly do. I like to call it hope scrolling on my phone. It's not doom scrolling, but it's hope scrolling. I'm looking for some good news. And yeah, I'm certainly, now it feels a little bit, for now, fingers crossed, that I just have to do my thing. The news isn't impacting how we function as much. But my heart goes out to my friends in the restaurant business. It is.
Have you been able to keep all your employees and make a living doing what you've been doing the last several months?
We've still got about 20 people employed. There are the additional people in our company would work events, and we just don't have events to have them work. We have some small events, but there's a small group of people who are able to work those events. But I'm doing everything I can. Are we making money? We're bringing in money. But we needed that PPP money, and we did get some of it. And I also got one of the EIDL loans. But without that government assistance, we would be gone. And I think many in our industry would have had to give up completely. It was such a full stop on the industry. We went from millions of dollars in business a year to it is illegal and unsafe to throw events. So it's a pretty big hard stop. So I'm grateful for the government assistance because we really needed it. And it is going to keep us alive for longer. And we're going to do everything we can to be here so that we can continue to cater when this changes.
And there could be more coming. Do you need more? Does your industry need more?
Yeah, I need more. I was actually in an unusual circumstance where I asked for half of the money that I qualified for. And now I'm in the process of working with my bank to ask for the rest of what I qualified for. And they still have the money. So I'm calling them every few days and saying, hey, how's that going? So I'm in that limbo state. For now, I have liquidity. I can still function, but I need that more money. And then, we'll see. I'm still hopeful that there'll be some miracles and some, not just miracles, but some wonderful science coming down the pike. And, maybe we'll be able to do events,
And when we do that, as a caterer, I mean, there's buffet style, there's server style. there will be a lot of changes, I would imagine, especially in the short term. Maybe we'll get back to normal. Who knows? But are you ready for that?
We've already been coming up with really creative ways to do events. Like I said, we did graduation parties, we did weddings. Our staff is wearing masks and gloves. We're definitely not having people go to the buffet themselves, but we can have a server put food on a plate and then put it down on what I'm calling a transfer table out front. So we do it for the guest, put it down on the table, and then they can pick it up. We've also got picnic baskets. We're doing a lot with picnic baskets so that we can, put the food for the whole table in a picnic basket, and then each table is a pod, a family, or whoever's living together. If at the weddings or the graduation parties, those groups can kind of sit and eat together and be served that way. So we've got tons of ways of doing it so that, again, like, everyone feels safe. Everyone feels, not just the guests, but the staff as well, because this is my family and I need to take care of them and protect them.
How about restaurants? You touched on it briefly, but I know the Java Hut, the Red Java Hut in San Francisco, that's going down. It's been here for decades. I know a few restaurants on Union Street, one that's Campanina, the owner's from Capri. He's been there for 20 years. Italian, hugs everybody, and he's not sure he can come back. And that's going to be the case probably for quite a few, don't you think?
I do. I hate to say it, but the restaurant, I've owned 2 restaurants, and it was beyond my ability. The second one I sold 3 or 4 years ago, and I thought it was my own fault that I couldn't quite, I didn't have what it took. But in hindsight, the restaurant business has always been difficult, and it was already sort of at a tipping point before this happened. It's become almost impossible, and now it's really impossible. So I hate to say it, but a lot of people will be rescued from owning a restaurant. And I actually, even though I think it's devastating, it really is devastating people's lives. I also, in a way, I feel happy for some of them that they will not have to do that anymore.
It's a tough business, isn't it? I mean, the difference between profit and going out of business is razor thin. And if you don't have good employees, you're done, right?
Yeah. There are so many factors that make it almost impossible. And there are too many restaurants. So even though, again, I feel horrible for the people that have to give up and who just decide to close, there should be fewer restaurants because it's not possible to maintain the level of restaurants that we've had. I read a while back that at one point when people were looking to put their money into investments, they weren't finding the good choices. And so they decided to start putting money in the stock market into chain restaurants, which led to such a higher level of per capita of restaurants. And so no one quite knows this. It's not the kind of thing you would notice. But there are way more restaurants per person than there ever used to be, and that it contributes to how incredibly difficult and competitive it is. So there really should be fewer restaurants, and then the ones that are left will have more business and maybe can function and survive.
But also with that social distancing, maybe especially in the city, in San Francisco, where quarters are tight, you might have a long, narrow restaurant, and you're kind of close to each other, excuse me, and when you're getting up. You take out half the tables, how do you survive?
It's in no way it's a sustainable situation.
Yeah.
The hope is, of course, that with treatments and vaccines that we'll be able to function in a different way. But there's nothing sustainable about what's happening right now.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to end on a downer note. It sounds like, tell us once again the name of your new offshoot company. And if people want to get in touch with you, either for a catering affair or they need groceries, liquor, vegetables, whatever, how do we do it?
Yeah. And people are innovating and coming up with great solutions. Some people are incredibly resilient, and I'm really impressed. In order to find us, check out greenleafprovisions.com. Our new website is so user-friendly, so easy to use, or you can email us at info@gromangroup.com.
Okay.
info@gromangroup.com. But yeah, we're here to cater. We're here to provide food. People always need to eat. So we will figure out a way to get food into their mouths.
That's a good point. I think that's a good point to end on. And I look forward to having you back in studio where I can sample some of your delicious drinks and food. And all that comes with it, Hugh.
That would be
All the
great.
best.
Thank you.
All right. I'm Frank Malicote. If you want more information, you can go to coronavirusnow.com. Thanks for watching.